This semester's last sample student essay. Do they get any better? We've done a few of these sample student essays by now, so I think you know how this is going to go. We're going to get specific, we're going to look at focus, so let's dive in. Advancements in teaching is a critical analysis. I think it's actually written for the research essay, the same assignment you're most likely doing right now. Instead of doing a detailed reading of just the introduction, which is a way I've worked before, or picking and choosing pieces, I'm going to follow the explicit argument. The explicit argument is the thesis statement and the topic sentences. The thesis statement is what the whole essay is about. The topic sentences situate each paragraph within the larger argument. So you should be able to read just those and get a pretty good idea of where the argument is going, what it is, how it's progressing, and all that. Advancements in teaching. When it comes to educating, there are so many different tactics that can be used to educate someone. With all the technological advancements over the past few years, there is more need for technology in the classroom. That's a strange tautology. Because there's more technology, there's more need for technology? Anyway. Therefore, ebooks and tablets have engraved their way, that's a strange verb choice, into the education curriculum. These advancements can always make things easier, but there is always baggage when advancement takes place. Should you use advancements twice in that pair? Anyway, I said I wasn't going to do a detailed of the introduction, but I'm moving on. A negative of these advancements is creating a distraction for students by replacing textbooks with tablets. The tablets are used for storing all the textbooks on one single tablet per student, but in the eyes of a younger teenager, it's used for other things not regarding school. Debatable, but whatever. Online schooling has become popular as well, with a means of being at home while at class in a sense. Advancements can always be a big help, but when something new is presented, there are always flaws that arise. Now, an introduction is supposed to do three things. Hook the reader. Does this hook the reader? Does this get you excited? Doesn't for me. It's supposed to introduce the subject of analysis, so we know what we're talking about. And I'm not really sure this does that. It lets us know we're talking about technology, but we never really get much more specific than that. We get a whole bunch of vague statements, which is also an issue with the thesis statement. We're supposed to have a specific subject of analysis, a precise claim, a blueprint of reasons. You've seen this graphic before. So, our thesis statement, advancements, can always be a big help. But when something new is presented, there are always flaws that arise. Does this give us a specific subject of analysis? Not really. It's kind of broad. We know it's something about some kind of advancement. Does this give us a precise claim? I'm dubious at that. Is there a blueprint of reasons? Not at all. What we do have is a very general kind of statement. We know advancements have flaws. Is that enough? We'll talk about that as we go along. Meanwhile, let's just move on to the next topic sentence. Tablets have made their way into the classroom to try and have improved learning outcomes. Yeah, I tripped over the language there because that language there ain't great. Tablets are the subject, okay. They haven't made their way into the classrooms on their own. Do the tablets try to improve learning outcomes? Have they improved learning outcomes? Those are different kind of claims. Next topic sentences. Tablets are used across the span of multiple grades, and some students with these tablets may not always take proper care of their technology. So, teens can be destructive little bastards. Kids can be destructive little bastards. I'm not sure how that's a flaw of the technology, though. And this is an issue that's going to come up again. Giving students the power to access any material they want through a tablet can result in them cheating on assignments and other materials. Word about language. It says it can result. Well, this essay loves to use these vague terms: can, might. And those things are really setting up possibilities. The problem with possibilities is you can't prove possibilities. It's better to make claims that you can support using evidence. Yes, this could be used for this. It could also not be used for that. You could use it as a paperweight. What's your point? Tablets are not the only advancement to come to teaching, but online classes have been becoming very popular with the convenience of not having to get up and go to a physical class. So we have a shift of topic. Are we talking about tablets anymore? No, we're talking about online education instead. Okay, we're moving on to a different subject. This is going to be a recurring issue here. Along with heavier workloads, these online classes force students to become independent. I buy this. I teach a lot of online classes. You're in them now. I don't think they're easier. I think students come in expecting them to be easier. But so much of setting the workload and keeping people on track, you can't do in an online class as much as you can do in an in-person class from a teacher's perspective. You have to take, as a student, you have to take charge of what's going on. Online courses require much more responsibility than a physical class because it requires you to manage time better. Kind of says the same thing as the paragraph before it. Virtual reality has become a huge success with putting someone in a new world by just looking through your phone. We have yet another shift of topic to VR. Next topic sentence. Smartboards have been rising in popularity with its unique dynamics that bring it... You know what? I normally go through and edit my stumbles with language, but I'm not going to on this one because this language is just very stumblerific. Smartboards have been rising in popularity. Okay, smartboards is the subjectivity there is weird. With its unique dynamic, smartboards, that it brings to a classroom. That's a different topic shift. So now we're talking about smartboards. A new trend that is being used is using smartphones in class for things such as, for some reason, helping the student with research and using a calendar to keep track of due dates. Yet another shift. So now we're talking about smartphones. Okay. Then we go into the conclusion. Technology is a great way for society to become more organized and more efficient, and the education process technology must outweigh the negative aspects of technology. We use technology 3 times in that sentence. Technology is looked at, by whom, as more of a toy than a tool in education. That by whom is not a minor question. Who's looking at the technology as a toy is very important. If teachers are treating it like a toy, it's a very different thing than if the students are treating it like a toy. As time goes on, many new inventions will present themselves and teaching will be revolutionized. It may take many attempts to try to find the perfect tool that can be used by students and not become a distraction like tablets and cell phones to students in school today. Now, the language is bad, and what the conclusion does is give you a big overlook of technology as a whole. And we go back to something I talked about from the beginning. This is big and vague. If you want to do anything remotely like this, you not only have to get specific with the technology, but this paper jumps back and forth between whether you're talking about the technology or how people respond to the technology. Sometimes they do that well, sometimes they don't. In one paragraph, tablets are not the only advancement to come to teaching, but online classes are becoming very popular with the convenience of not having to get up and go to a physical class. This may be a contributing factor to having online classes, but it does have some baggage. Most online classes are taken by college students who like the flexibility of being able to listen to a lecture in the gap of a busy schedule. Not going to a physical classroom can really take away from the physical interaction between students and teacher and with other students. Having interaction skills is very important when trying to become a member of society, and classroom interaction can really help those social skills. It may not seem like it, but online classes require much more time than traditional class. It is like this because typing is not as fast as speaking, and students typically zone out for brief moments of time. This has some balance between talking about the students and talking about the framing technology. We still have a problem with it being general rather than specific. But it's not the only time where that's a problem. Later on, along with these heavy workloads, these online you know what? I'm not going to go through all of this long paragraph because you don't need to hear me read what you've already read. Let's just boil it down to 2 sentences from the middle of the paragraph. To be successful in these online courses, a student must have the desire to learn and must incorporate an efficient way of taking in the material that is presented. This is typically why students fall behind, and it is the inability to take action and take responsibility. Apart from being relatively vague, there's an issue here. Everything they're talking about is about the student's perspective and what the student must bring. The technology that's supposedly the subject of the paper isn't mentioned at all. Now, are any of these issues in this paper fatal? No, you can fix this paper. The first thing you're going to have to do is figure out one subject, not 20 subjects, but pick one subject and make it the central point of your essay. Picking a specific subject will allow you to get into details. They covered smartphones in one paragraph and virtual reality in one paragraph. Does that really give you enough material to explore in depth? Nah. You also need to be very much more clear on your argument. Advancements can always be a big help, but when something new is presented, there are always flaws that arise. You especially need to be clear when you're doing those explicit parts of the argument. That guides the reader, and if those are vague, if those are overly broad, there's problems. It's one of the things I have to work the hardest with my students on is getting specific. People want to go big and broad in general, and I've realized that a lot of what I do is trying to get them, no, focus on the specific incident. I know what this essay is trying to say. Technology has downsides we have to be wary about. And yeah, that's not wrong. But by doing 5 different pieces of technology, and these are possible side effects, doesn't allow you to prove the point you really want to prove. Focusing on one specific element will allow you to get a lot more specific in your argument. And that's the kind of thing readers really need. Can't stress it enough. Get specific. It really will help. And I will see you next video. Bye.